See what we get.
Hello.
Hey, Sean.
You have reached Anonymous.
Is that right?
In case of an emergency,
Mm-hmm.
pick up a constitution
Mm-hmm.
and read it thoroughly.
Oh, okay. What's what's the Constitution gonna tell me? What's the point of that?
Keep track of your silver coins
Okay, I could do
and
that.
watch out for counterfeit money from the Federal Reserve.
Now, how would you know that it's counterfeit, though?
It looks like Monopoly money to me.
Oh, doesn't it
Got this
feel?
blue strip right down the center right
Oh, okay, I see.
here.
So you can actually tell, but can you tell it by feeling it?
Absolutely. Feels, well, I don't know about feeling it, but it does say a Federal Reserve note on the top of the
Ah,
bill.
so if it said a United States note, then that wouldn't be any good.
I think that one would probably work pretty good, yeah.
That might be worth more. Hey, my friend just posted this little thing, Prince Vega. Prince Vega exposes the Illuminati for copying Egypt, and it says George Washington was a fake Freemason. It depends on what your
I'm
definition of.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not a historian, especially I'm not a George Washington historian. However, what I've heard is that there were a lot of Masons back then because that's kind of the group that you were in back then. And the Illuminati was started in 1776, at least over here. And I doubt George Washington was a Freemason from day one, but who knows the whole thing? I mean, Washington D.C. was built by Masons, etc. too, right? So
It's true.
there's a lot of people that and a lot of history on George Washington about what he did for our country, what he did for the original Constitution. Of course, a lot of people say it was created by rich landowners, which isn't entirely untrue, of course. It's the first attempt at a really long lasting republic. Between him and Thomas Jefferson and Samuel Adams, I think that we got to give them a little bit of credit. And if they were Masons, then I guess they were Masons.
Are they Freemasons, kind of like how somebody would call you a Tea Party member now? Um, if
No,
you.
it's true. I mean, Weishaupt basically perverted the Mason movement. Masons, of course, started out as journeyman contractors, essentially, right? And they simply didn't want their knowledge of their trade to basically get out. So they would essentially hide their knowledge, and that's where that whole concept came from. Of course, Weishaupt was not a good intentioned person by any stretch of the imagination. So
Hmm.
I just listened to a really good podcast, a couple of them actually, about the Rockefellers as a separate podcast, and then also as the Rothschilds about how they actually started their dynasty. They were called Bauer, right? The Rothschilds were the Bauers. I knew that piece. What I didn't really quite understand before was simply that Bauer, on the advice of one of his lawyers at the time, put a red shield on the top of their door. That way, the businessmen coming through would be able, and this was in Germany, right, where they would be able to come through and see the red shield, do business with Bauer, who was a banker. And over time, of course, he just became known as the business of the Red Shield or the Rothschild. Let's look that up in German. It basically translates to Red Shield or Rothschild. So after a while, he was doing business as the Rothschild, and that's how he got his name, right? So we know that a part of that, we know a part of that history, of course, but just interesting, he was hanging the red shield up there at the advice of someone else, and it just sort of became his thing, right? And just a dork with a red shield, right?
So they say. Yes.
And Mayor Amschel just decided, I'm just going to be the king of the world. And it's like, so my perspective is the same, but I now have more information that I have to do more research into, which is, did Amschel Rothschild, I mean, Mayor Meyer, I guess you want to
Meyer.
call him Meyer Amschel Bauer. I guess that's no different than our current sitting president, I guess, who has a different name as well, right? And
Satoru.
yeah, Barry, right?
Batty.
Essentially, did he ever believe that he was going to become the richest man in the world? And I think he was just a greedy bastard. We always think of these guys as evil men, and certainly they probably were sociopaths at the very least, right? They probably didn't care very much at all for people's pain and suffering because of all the wars they fought, which lends you to this concept of who these people really are. But the very interesting thing is that David Rockefeller was not the son of either John D. Rockefeller the first, second, or third. He
Really?
was the son of John D. Rockefeller the fourth.
Okay.
Because if you do the math, you'll notice that Rockefeller the fourth wouldn't have even had David Rockefeller until the 30s, which is when he was essentially born. So it really gives you a whole new perspective. So I this whole long-winded thing about this is I encourage you, please check out the Peace Revolution podcast and the School Sucks podcast, and
Sounds great.
look up Rockefeller history and Rothschild history. It's very intriguing, and it gives you a whole new perspective to add to your body of information, and
Wow.
then you can know more.
Wow, that's great. It sounds like this movie that I watched called There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis. Have you ever seen it?
I don't believe so. No, I'll write it down though.
You should really see that because it sounds very similar.
John D. Rockefeller's
You use
dad
that
was
term.
a snake oil salesman.
Snake oils.
Basically, he was he was one of the typical what you would call door-to-door salesmen
Yes.
that would go from town to town.
Yep.
He would go from town to town. Of course, back then they didn't have a Model T Ford, of course, right?
Okay.
So he was horse and carriage,
Trains.
stuff like that, trains,
Right. That's
stuff
exactly
like that.
what this guy did.
Snake oil salesman, meaning he would actually sell tinctures, is what they call them, tinctures of various ointments and so forth that would propose to cure people. And really all it was
Oh yeah, it was hop. They called it hop, I think, back then.
hop, and then there's a more scientific term for it. It escapes my memory right now. That's essentially what it was. It was pure opium derivative. The opium derivative is a name, of course, that they would actually sell openly at stores, and this is essentially what he would sell. I mean, it would be some kind of an ointment that has this opium derivative in it, and of course, it would cure your pain and suffering because it would basically deaden all of your body, make you feel really great, but of course then everything would come back after that. By the time he sells everything and leaves, then of course everybody would figure out, oh my gosh, because they would probably put multiple treatments of ointment on their body and go, well, maybe it requires multiple treatments. And I would probably imagine he would probably say, well, you have to give it at least a few treatments over the course of a few days, and then it will gradually reduce your symptoms. And of course, if he said that, then by that time he'd be out of town, and that would be very smart of him to do that.
You really have to see this film, and then you have to compare it to the research that you've done.
That's correct. Absolutely. Because there is two sides of the story on this, of course. There always is two sides of the story,
Sure.
right? I mean,
maybe three.
Yeah, there could be multiple. So there's always multiple sides to the story in history. The podcast that I listened to, the actual book on tape that I listened to, was a pro version of the Rockefeller biography, but the biography is in line with what historical facts show us. This book on tape, of course, says that Rockefeller went into a town and built the church because of his mother being so spiritual, okay?
Interesting.
But there isn't any reason to assume that he didn't use his ties to then buy other land that was oil rich, which in fact he did. He used his ties in the community and ties with his other family members in order to build these oil, rich lands and stuff like that. What was the story with the dummy, right?
Yeah, tell me. Have you heard anything about the dummy?
I actually haven't.
Okay, because
but I heard about the story, and I'm like, that is very interesting, right? So, whenever there's a shooting like this, I always want to sit back and let the newscast sort of play out a little bit for the local stuff, because what'll happen is after a while they're going to start making mistakes. And that's always what happens. There isn't anybody out there that just starts blowing things up with guns, okay? I'm sorry, it doesn't happen, all right? And I'm sorry, I don't want to, make disingenuous the lives that have been touched because of school shootings and stuff like that. I mean, these are very real for these people. But even the Sandy Hook parents, there was many parents who were like, wait a minute, we don't want to ban guns. I mean, their children were killed in this rampage, whoever happened to pull it off, and even the Batman shooting and so forth. And people are like, well, wait a minute, we don't want to actually ban guns. We don't want to get rid of the Second Amendment. We're not interested in doing any of that stuff. We just want to, take care of this situation and move onward, right? I was, I think I forwarded you a picture from one of the community emergency response teams in Concord this last weekend. They were doing a follow-up to the Urban Shield stuff that was happening in the East Bay. By the way, I think Manny put that online on the on YouTube. But they were saying one of the guys that I talked to was a volunteer firefighter who was an ex-police. And his honest to God opinion, he took me aside and he said, you know what I really believe should happen is I just don't want anybody that has a mental problem to be able to have access to weapons. This is a two-edged sword.
Yep.
Because if you block everyone that has a mental problem to guns, then if you saw a psychiatrist when you were 14, you might very well say, well, that's good enough. You're not going to be able to own a gun.
I don't understand what that means. What does that mean when somebody like that says that and says, I don't want anybody with mental issues? Like, what does that really, like, what does he really mean?
Exactly. So I'm going to define it here right for you, Greg.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to define right now what I believe countries should adopt as their overriding policy of the Second Amendment. Okay. So maybe there will be patriots out there that will, I hate that Sean Ackley because he wants to override the Second Amendment. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What I really want to do here is I want to make one thing very clear. Okay. What we need to do is we need to say that if we're going to have a pharmaceutical drug registry of all of the doctors and patients that are on anything that is mental, like an SSRI, or any type of an antipsychotic, or any type of drug that has a known side effect that you could lose your mind and kill people. In fact, most of the SSRI drugs actually say on their labels, if you come off of your meds too quickly, you could actually freak out and kill people.
Or kill yourself.
That's right. Or kill yourself. You have basically what they say is you have psychotic tendencies. Okay. So any drug that has psychotic tendencies as associated with side effects of the drug or coming off of them or going on to them too quickly will be registered, and the doctors will be registered that gave them to them. The doctor is then going to have to sign for that patient. And the patient, or the psychiatrist in that question, right, will have to sign for that patient and say this patient is on a psychotic medicine or on some type of a medicine that has psychotic attributes. During the duration of this treatment, up until, I don't know, let's say 6 months after the treatment, you will not be able to register to buy a gun. And further, any guns that you have would have to be turned in or something like that, okay? So that's my foray into this realm right here. I think it should all be related to pharmaceutical drugs. Simple as that.
Those are something that cops can get. So it just makes it so, well, he's worried about everybody then who is on some type of drug or who is on some type of pill, right? I don't know. I just don't understand this whole mental health thing where it's just like, first of all, who tells us who has good mental health and who has bad mental health? Yeah, sure. But just like you said, there's so many people that they're given these pills, and the pills come with that warning, this may cause suicidal thoughts.
I would say that we have probably as much or more registration capability with our medical system at this point than we do for guns. California is putting in some fairly draconian gun laws currently, but as far as the rest of the country goes, most of the states in the union don't have an extremely comprehensive gun registry. And I don't believe there should be one. The point here is that if you are buying these pharmaceutical drugs that have psychotic tendencies, it's going to be registered. the person who's making it, the company that's making it, the healthcare plan that's buying them, and the distribution companies, and the doctors, and the people that are taking them. That's all registered in these databases. We're just simply registering the wrong people. We're registering law-abiding citizens that have a tool. It's like registering a guy that buys a hammer or a machete. I mean, look. I mean, I have a machete right over here. Okay. I'm gonna go grab my machete.
Oh no.
Okay.
Terrorist
All right.
act.
This is my machete. Okay. This machete. What does it do? This machete.
Sean's got a machete.
Yeah. I have to actually unsheath it. See, it won't even come out of the sheath.
Wow.
This is my safety. Watch that. It doesn't even come out of the sheath.
Oh.
I have to unzip it first, and then it comes out. Okay.
Very nice.
So we have a machete. I'm not registered for this machete.
Do you have to be registered for that?
This machete will do a lot of damage, okay? If I wanted to do a lot of damage, okay? If I was taking psychotic, medication, I could just trip out and this machete would do a lot of damage, okay? And more people have access to these machetes. They have more access to hammers and they have more access to bats.
People are scared with guns.
Guns scare people more because they're told to be scared. So can you imagine a state, a country in which everyone was encouraged to not only buy guns, but to take training for their guns?
Oh, could there be such a state?
We would have state approved funding for gun training, if so necessary. Let's say, it's that thing, what was it over in Tennessee about that city that basically requires all their citizens to have guns.
Right.
Well, take a look at their legislation. Their legislation will actually help you get a gun and help you keep it and help you get training for it. We could have guys with guns on their hips, open carry essentially. They'd be able to have concealed carry. They'd be able to have shotguns in their trucks like we used to drive down the street with a gun rack on the back of the car and had the shotgun up there and the rifle and whatever else.
They set up these mass shootings because they put all of these unarmed people in one place, and it's a turkey shoot, and you can't do that. And that is that is a big threat. That is a huge terrorist target.
But anyways, LAX shooting, guaranteed that's going to come out as lots of questions are going to come out of that. And they're just simply not going to ever get answered. And they're just going to take more things away. Someone's going to declare some state of emergency. Who knows what Brown is going to do. He's going to declare some state of emergency and go, everyone's guns have to go or something. I don't know.
Brown is already pushing that co-ed bathrooms.
Oh my gosh. I quite frankly don't even know how these people are representing us. I could virtually guarantee you that most people in the state of California do not actually believe that girls and boys should be in the same bathroom together,
right?
Let alone taking showers or whatnot together. So there may be a lot of junior high boys that think that's a good idea, but I don't think
that goes without saying, man.
I don't believe that the parents believe it's a good idea. So go ahead.
You don't believe that the parents think it's a good idea, that's what it sounds like most of the parents are saying. And yeah, to some of the kids now, it might seem cool. It might seem like a good thing, but it's not going to be a good thing once they start having children. It's not going to be a good thing once they start seeing people getting hurt in those bathrooms, or you see people not going to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And more people are going to go back to the days of using pots and pans.
That is correct. And no, absolutely. It's gonna change behavior. If we actually understand, if we want to talk about the actual reason for schooling, anyways, it's to change behaviors. And of course, and we could do a whole podcast on schooling.
I think we're gonna have to later.
I think we really need to talk about that because schooling itself, by the very nature of the word schooling, means you're basically trying to force information down someone and get them to what? To change their behavior. When we go out onto a street corner and talk about 9/11 truth, that's what essentially we're trying to do, right?
Right.
We try to do it in a very respectable way. Sometimes we use bullhorns. I try to think about it. It's in the bottom line. The bottom line, what we're really trying to do is to change people's attitudes and behaviors by us force feeding information down their ears and their brains so
Hmm.
that they have no other way. I mean, in fact, that's the reason we go out into where a lot of people are, is to actually get into a group of people where they can't actually avoid what we're saying.
Hmm.
Right?
Right. I think that we want to show them that, look, we're all one. We're all in this. If the whole country fails, we're all going to suffer. So we all need to look at what is going on with our country and how we're going to save it, or how we're going to at least try to. But I think a lot of people see it as a battle that we can't win. And so
Correct.
they just don't even want to fight that battle.
No, absolutely. In any case, about schooling,
Yeah.
what we need to start thinking of is we need to start thinking in terms of unschooling people and unschooling their attitudes and bringing in what's called learning and education. Instead of saying let's school them, why don't we say let's educate them, or
Hmm.
let's bring knowledge to them? Okay, so this is what we want when we're talking about kids. Of course, this is very important. I don't want to unduly school my kids. I want to educate them. I want them to be educated, or I want for them to learn information. Okay? Learning is a pull mechanism, not a push mechanism. You can't force ultimately, you can't force information into somebody and make them believe it. You have to give them information and they have to want to accept it. Okay. So even if that includes us bullhorning people on the corner, we are force feeding them information. However, they in their heads still have to accept that information. We're not going up to them and shaking them and saying,
Oh.
we want you to believe this, duct taping them to a chair and holding their eyelids open and, force feeding them information. But this is essentially what our schools do. I mean, our schools make kids sit in a chair for most of the day. Yes, they get out sometimes, of course, but most of their very rigorous schedule and very defined areas that the teacher gives them. And this is schooling. John Taylor Gatto, for instance, is a really good name to look up the Tragedy and Hope 5-hour presentation on John Taylor Gatto, and that will essentially give you all the information you need to do a lot of research into. He goes into everything.
I don't know how you heard about this co-ed bathroom thing, but I saw a friend that posted this picture, and it said, "Warning, by California law, beginning January 1st, 2014, the
Yes.
bathrooms at this school will be shared by boys and girls. To overturn the co-ed bathroom law, go to www.privacyforallstudents.com. Paid
Wow.
for
Okay.
by the Privacy for All Students. Stop AB 1266." So AB, what is
Bill,
AB?
Assembly Bill.
Assembly Bill 1266. So I'm gonna have to look that up. And this is a group out of Sacramento, actually. So that's pretty cool.
It says
660 J
all,
Street
yeah, all
Suite.
petitions Wednesday, November 6th. It looks like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at their site now. I don't know if you're looking at their site, but yeah, I just noticed that all petitions must be in our office by Wednesday, November 6th. That gives me 3 days to get the word out. It's not a lot of time.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
so we're gonna try to get that word. Man, I wish I had more time on this. This is crazy. I can't believe I just learned about
I know.
this.
Well, yeah. I mean, check out how busy our lives are. I mean, we have 3 days for this massive legislation that's going to change behaviors of all the students in California. We have a very short period of time. Meanwhile, in,
That's
in
how they
other
do it.
news,
Mhm.
my son needs to go to basketball tryouts tomorrow,
Mhm.
right? And it's like, wait a minute. Why do I have to sit here worrying about whether or not my kids are going to be sharing bathrooms with girls when my son needs to take basketball tryouts?
Mhm.
This is ridiculous, right?
Yep.
I mean, let's just, I just don't understand what is in the heads of people that put these bills forward. What nut job put this bill forward in the first place? Who are they getting paid by? And where
Well,
do they send their kids to school? I want to know where they send their kids to school.
well,
This
you'd have.
assembly, yep,
Does Jerry Brown have kids?
I'm
He
sure
probably
he
has
does.
grandkids by now, I'm sure.
Yeah, and they're
So
probably all going to private school,
private
right?
private schools, right?
Okay.
But Yeah.
Who is the assembly? I want to know. That's what we need to know.
Hmm.
Whoever is out there, who's ever watching or listening at some point on this, what we need to do is find the assembly person that authored and then put this bill forward. Everyone who's voting on this bill that is a guaranteed yes right now, we need to find out where they're sending all their kids to school.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're sending their kids to public school, I guarantee you they're going to be changing their own school to a private school.
Well, this is why we need people to get involved in California politics. I
Yeah,
know many people say that the system is broken, the system is dead, it doesn't work, but how many of us real people are involved in our own government?
yeah,
Not many, but if we were, even if it's just at a local level, going for a school board member or something, PTA, or just being a coach, or just sitting in the stands while your kid is playing some sports game or practicing. But if people become involved in their local school or in their local business,
yep.
I really think that we could create that opportunity for good people to get involved and to run for office, because we need people to overturn bills like AB 1266. This is ridiculous, and there's many people that would want to overturn this. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time and not too many people know it. This bill might pass, but then we need to really work towards uh, getting the bill overturned, or at least finding out who set up this bill, why they set it up, and how this is going to affect our children with sexualizing them. Because that's the only thing that this shows me is this is one step towards further sexualizing our children at a young age.
Exactly. Listen to this interesting bladder, bladder
Blather.
from these completely unintelligent people. And I'm very sorry. I'm calling this person out. Her name is Dana Beyer,
Okay.
who's writing on behalf of Gay Voices.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, and I'm
Okay.
not going to get into other subjects at this point. I'm just trying to specify where she writes for.
Okay.
The opposition is very confused about the. And by the way, the opposition. By the way, I
Everybody.
am not. Let's get in my. I am not a. This. I'm not opposition.
Okay.
I believe this should never have happened in the first place. Okay. Um, they always make it sound like you're pitting yourself one against another. Okay. I could have opposing ideas, but it doesn't mean I'm opposing you as a person. Okay. And they always make it seem like we're opposition. Okay. I think that we all need to be Americans. Okay. We need to all come together, and I might have different opinions than you. I might have a different, my views might be opposing views, but that doesn't mean I have to be your opposition. Okay. Why don't we just figure out what the best thing for our kids are? The opposition is very confused about the differences between sex and gender. So the differences between sex and gender, she says here, comma, gender identity and sexual orientation. But the problem is more fundamental. Most Americans do not have a basic understanding of human biology and reflexively equate biology with sex, with genitals.
Hmm.
Wow. Wow. Okay, wait a minute. Most Americans do not have a basic understanding of human biology. Well, that might be true internally. As I understand it, there might be many kids out there, including college kids, that may not have a complete understanding of their own internal biology. I guarantee you, by the time you're in junior high, you have a fairly well grasp of your own external biology. There's not going to be any question of that. Now, as far as all these other pieces of information, it's ludicrous to assume that some kid doesn't know who they are. And yes, of course, there's going to be confused children out there, and those confused children come from homes that are confused. I guarantee it. But school, regardless of what we talk about, regardless of what your position is on this, school, training academies, learning and educational facilities are not the place to start training or having our kids discover who they are and what their psychological makeup is.
Absolutely.
Okay, your psychological makeup is supposed to be discovered at home with your parents, with your family. All this, Bill, and all of the people who are these aggravated supporters of such a, they're all paid to do this. Okay, you don't have any volunteers. Okay, give me a break. The top people in these positions are all paid to do what they're doing,
Well,
and
yeah, top, but I'm sure
yeah,
there's
yeah,
many lower level people who really think that this is a good idea.
yeah, because they're the ones that are confused. See, that's the thing.
That's true.
The quote reporter that she calls herself says that most Americans are confused about this. And I say, no, I'm sorry, it's not most Americans, okay? It's the less than a half a percent of the people that are like you stupid dork, okay? I hope it's on YouTube, and please put her name in the comments so that she can find herself, okay?
What's her
You're an,
name?
this person is an idiot, okay? This Dana person,
Dana
um, uh,
Dana Bay or something? Dana
uh, Dana Bayer,
Dana Bayer.
okay, is yes, okay. This person is one of that small minority of people,
Wow.
very small minority of people that are confused about who they are and about what they should do with other people.
Hmm.
There's no question, okay? When you have a majority of people in the United States that don't want this, okay, let's take one really clear, simple, and easy question. Does the thing you're doing, does it affect or force your will onto somebody else?
Hmm.
Okay. This
Mm-hmm.
this rule of the Constitution, this rule of non-aggression. You're not going to force your will against the minority or majority for that matter, okay? A republic is designed extremely well and very specifically to say that no one person or group is going to be forced to do something if it's against their rights. We used to have black and white bathrooms.
Is that wrong or right?
Yes, I believe having black and white bathrooms is wrong. However, let's say, for instance, they installed a men's bathroom and a women's bathroom also. So you had a black and a white and a men's and a women's bathroom. And then
Interesting.
anybody can choose where they want to go.
Wow.
That way, maybe you're a black person or maybe you're a white person. Maybe you just want to go into that bathroom because maybe you just don't want to deal with all the issues. Maybe because you have too much pressure or maybe things are not going for you well. So you just want to go to the white bathroom for that day. Maybe a black person wants to go to their black bathroom. And then maybe there's some day where that black person comes out of their shell and they go, you know what, this is screwed up. This is screwed up. We already have a solution in California, and I'm sure this is nationwide. We already have a solution in California for this. It's called family bathrooms. Okay? You've heard of family bathrooms. We were just at a movie theater yesterday. There was a family bathroom
Now,
at the movie.
is the family bathroom different from a unisex bathroom? The same thing.
Unisex and a family bathroom are exactly the same. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, it has a toilet and a john, and it's got the sink, and it's got the little place for the baby changing table,
Cool.
and it's got the maybe if there's special things for women or men or whatever else, they're all there. And then down the movie theater a little bit, there's a men and a women's bathroom.
Okay.
Okay, so
Is
you got
there a transgender bathroom?
no. But why does there have to be? Why do they get anything special? Why do I get anything special? So I might choose to go to the family bathroom, or I might choose to go to the men's bathroom, but that's my choice. Why can't schools install a multi-sex bathroom or what's called a family bathroom at schools?
Well,
And
because there is no family there. You have boys and you have girls, and that's
oh,
it.
right. Well, you would just call it. It would be a bathroom that has a little blue placard on it that has the picture of a man and a woman, right? But keep in mind now that a unisex bathroom is only designed for a single occupant or a single closed locked door occupant, meaning that you can have, let's say, your dad and your son need to go into the bathroom at the same time to do whatever they're doing, and then, or if you have a baby or something like that. But what you do is you go in and you lock the door behind you.
Well, those are okay. So those are like the ones that you would find at Pier 39 in San Francisco that you pay 25 cents for. I think now they actually have a credit card scanner because nobody uses cash anymore, so it's either a debit card or credit card. You basically have this one little room that's like a tube that you pay for your time to go and use that restroom, because there are no restrooms in San Francisco. The two most stressful things in San Francisco are bathrooms and parking lot. So basically, we're just going to have a bunch of little one room stalls instead of having the big stalls like we used to have. Like we used to go to the A's game, and actually if you if you go to the Oakland A's game now, you will still see the big, it looks like a big long bathtub, but it is a long urinal stall where you could fit about 12 to 14 people in the same urinal stall.
No,
Um,
absolutely. Well, no, no,
so
don't
you're
get me
not gonna
wrong
have
now.
those anymore.
Yeah, no, Greg. See, what you're talking about removing things or changing things. See, what I'm saying is the outcome of what normal thinking people should do
Yeah.
in a republic. What we should actually do is we don't remove our heritage.
Mm,
We don't remove what we've established in this country.
okay.
We don't remove the fact that we have men and women. Okay?
Okay.
If you have a small minority of people, which these people are a small minority of people, and they want to pass a bill like this, then they need to get it on the ballot.
Yeah,
And
but okay.
let's say it passes the ballot. Then what's going to happen is then whatever industry is going to fund this type of a thing will put these family slash unisex bathrooms into these public schools. Now, what I'm suggesting here, Greg,
Hmm.
is that the men and the women's bathrooms are going to still stay there.
Okay.
In fact, they might increase them or they might make them bigger or something like that. Okay. Um, but the unisex bathroom, what it will do is it will provide a single occupant to that bathroom. And then what you're going to find is if these people who really wanted these bathrooms, what you would expect is for there to be long lines at these bathrooms. Okay, and that's simply going to be the way it is. You know, if there's going to be 12 kids waiting in line for the unisex bathroom, then that's the way it's going to be.
But that's
Okay.
not what this thing says, right? It says the bathrooms at this school will be shared
Well,
by
right,
boys and
because
girls. So what is,
right,
so that just means, I mean,
that
because
shouldn't be the way it is. We shouldn't do that, right?
okay.
My point is that the people who are making this bill and supporting this bill are clueless as to human nature.
So
They're clueless.
so they could, so actually some companies could make money off of getting rid of all of the old bathrooms and creating a whole new standardized bathroom for every school that could be modeled and sold to every school for a huge profit
Well, of course, that's what's going to happen, right?
that the school pays
Yes.
for so that the taxpayers pay for.
Yeah. Let's get one thing clear here,
Okay.
okay? What this is called is look up the movie Gattaca in Google,
Oh
okay?
man.
I want you to look up Gattaca. If you
Ugh,
don't know what Gattaca is,
yeah.
you need to look up Gattaca. And I know I'm saying this multiple times.
No,
This
keep it
is the
up.
Google search term of today is Gattaca. This is essentially the model that they want to bring everybody into. They want to bring everybody into a model of the world where the sex of the person doesn't matter. You will share bathrooms, you will share facilities. Ultimately, there will be no families. You will simply be brought up in a world where you are a community citizen, a community individual. Well, in this case, it's a citizen, of course. You know, and there are multiple books on this topic. So, anyways, I mean, that's essentially it. They want this world system in which the state, the omnipotent state, decides what you're going to do with your life. That's the bottom line. This is the transformation of our society into this new world order.
Hmm.
You know, oh my gosh, there's that term. There's that term, new world order.
That was started by
Um,
Alex Jones, I guess, is what they're
the
saying now.
Yes, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center, of course, who is the organization that somehow is referenced in every single mainstream newscast on the United States. The 23-year-old man arrested for killing a TSA official at Los Angeles International Airport on Friday
Yes.
was carrying a one-page manifesto that referred to the New World Order, the Federal Reserve, and fiat currency, according to our sources. Well, holy crap. I talk about the Federal Reserve. It's on our dollar bill right here. It says Federal Reserve. Okay. Oh no. Oh no,
Wow.
Greg. Where's my book? Do I have my book up here?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Sean is.
Oh. I might not have the book up here. Oh, well, I have this one. It's called The Secrets of the Federal
Oh
Reserve
no.
by Eustace Mullins.
Eustace
Okay.
Mullen. Wow.
Oh my gosh. The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Oh, suspect right there.
Okay.
That makes you a suspect. Now
All right.
it is confirmed, people.
So the book I'm missing up here is probably across my room over here. It's called The New World Order by
George
yes.
Orwell.
But anyways, the bottom line here is so this guy that's shooting up LAX,
Yeah.
whoever this person is, probably will come out that he was on some kind of psychotropic pharmaceuticals.
It sounds like he was working for the TSA.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So of course that changed later on, and that was the second thing that got me going. So I got two things to follow: the dummy in the wheelchair, and is he a TSA guy?
Yeah, dummy in the wheelchair. That's got to do that. That's incredible. Yeah.
That was.
But
the
anyways,
weirdest.
my point on the Southern Poverty Law Center
Yeah.
is that there's this narrative now in the mainstream news that the guy who shut up LAX was a quote patriot
Right.
who was anti-government,
Sure.
talked about the Federal Reserve, fiat currency, and the New World Order. I don't know what to say, Greg. These are the things that I talk about. Okay.
Oh boy.
These are the things that I talk about on a daily basis. I wear T-shirts about this. Okay.
You are a patriot. I think everything that you've done has already proven that. And I truly think that if it wasn't for people like you, for people like Frank, for people like Manny, I would have never gotten involved in We Are Change. And I don't think I would have been the person that I am now if it wasn't for people like you.
Oh, that's awesome, Greg. Thank you. And you've contributed a lot as well. Just go to your YouTube channel. Take a look at the notes down here and find out the amount of information that our guys over in the East Bay put out, because they are voluminous amounts of information, podcasts and YouTube broadcasts going out all the time. So best of luck to everybody. We're going to have an End the Fed coming up here November 23rd.
Just by having some of those live sounds there, by having people that are doing live music right in front of the Federal Reserve building on 101 Market Street, that really made people take notice of what we were doing, and that we weren't just bullhorning at people, and we weren't just yelling at people, screaming at them and telling them that they don't know anything and we know everything. That's never been how We Are Change has handled itself. It was always about getting the message out there, and I do believe that music can help us get that message out there. And
No, that's awesome. Absolutely.
there's a great message, there's a good positive message that we're going to bring. I hope that we are going to catch a lot of people stressed out about money, stressed out about the holiday season, stressed out about their social status, stressed out about what they can buy, what they can't buy, how much debt that they're in. And I hope that these people can actually relate the Federal Reserve System to what they're going through. Because everything that we are going through, every dollar that we spend, every penny that we spend, every digital transaction that we make involves the Federal Reserve System. So
Yep.
I hope that we can get that message out there.
Yeah, money is the root of all evil.
And usury.
Once again, if we talk about fiat currency, though, Greg, we're going to be scrutinized now. So make sure that in the show notes, make sure you put down Federal Reserve, fiat currency, New World Order. That way, those three catch terms will come up on the video.
Okay.
Because God forbid, I would love to keep our standing as We Are Change San Francisco at the bottom of the Southern Poverty Law Center's Hate Watch website. Okay? Because Greg, you know me, I am the most hateful person
Yeah, right.
that there is.
Oh
So
yeah.
I
Well,
just want to make sure that We Are Change stays on the Southern Poverty Law Center's website because, quite frankly, it gives us really good publicity. I would just like to say that We Are Change is just a recognizable name, and we just keep the name on board for San Francisco. I am able to get out information to a bunch of groups so that We Are Change can have some meaning here. The We Are Change San Francisco, of course, was kept on board also by one of our late members, Joe Strebler, who's no longer with us. And of course, Joe was fighting for the We Are Change San Francisco name as well. So,
now
um,
Joe had a he had a great video where he walked into the Bohemian Club in San Francisco and
yep.
filmed what they were doing. We cannot find that video. I have not been able to find that video. Do you know
Oh,
where
we
that
know
video is?
it is. It's on YouTube. Absolutely. In fact, it's linked on one of our sites.
Give
The
me a
video.
give me
I
a
don't have it. Yeah, I don't have it. I'll give you a link for it. You can put it in the link on the show notes. There was another individual who actually posted it, and I believe they had found it online, and now that video is available for people to see. So, yeah, let me see what I can do, and
okay.
maybe I can just repost it on our YouTube channel or something. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
we need more than just research. We need more than just writing. We need people to get out and do things. So this weekend we had a group that is at the Cow Palace Gun Show.
Oh, are
Um,
you kidding me? I missed another one?
that was this weekend.
Oh,
Yeah,
come
Friday,
on.
Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
It's on the meetup.
Is
Um,
it? I'm
yeah.
not receiving anything from the meetup. I don't know what's going on.
All right.
Okay.
Um,
That's
so
crazy.
we do go out and do things. So there are things that happen if you're part of the San Francisco Liberty Revolution meetup.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
you
am.
will find marches, anti-war protests. There find um, lots of places that we get out to show people what we do. There are there are a lot of people in our organization that don't always agree with all the groups that they get out with. Okay,
That would
which
be
is
me.
which is okay because what we want to do is we want to show these people this is what we're about. This is a republic. I get to be here. You get to be here. And we all get to be Americans. And that's
Yep.
the whole point. When the system breaks down is when you start having authoritarians, okay, authoritarians that actually want to change the nature of our republic. Okay. This is this Dana Bayer. Um, this is this Parker Marie Malloy. Um,
I like how you said that name.
this is this Rob Watson. Um, these people who call themselves reporters, first of all, but secondly, they want to change the nature of our country. Okay. I am personally not wanting or willing to change the nature of this country. What I want to do is I want to keep our country for what it's good at,
Amen.
and that is giving everyone freedom.
Hmm.
These people need to understand that when you are an authoritarian, and you people are authoritarians, all you want to do is control other people's thoughts and behaviors. You know, if you can be told what to see or read, you can be told what to say or think. Okay? And guess what? That goes directly to schooling and education. And my God, you're going to go in and forcibly train students now that it's okay for girls and boys to be peeing together? My goodness. This is going to open up all kinds of areas of interesting things. Oh, Daddy, I went into school today and the girls had all their pants down. And what's the dad going to say? Oh, well, that's the way it is now, Johnny. Uh, What? I mean, that's just one example, Greg.
Let me just say this. I've been
Not,
with my wife. We were friends for a long time. We dated for a long time and we got married. Even when we got married, I still had a difficult time going to the bathroom in front of her or with her there. And even now, I don't like to go to the bathroom if she's in the same room.
well, once again, I would never suggest that California or any other part of the nation would actually make a law saying that even adult bathrooms or whatever need to be co-ed and all this other stuff, because once again, that infringes on the liberties of individuals that don't want that. And once again, it's authoritarian. It doesn't matter what age you are. You were mentioning you and your wife, and I'm suggesting that once you're an adult, especially once you're married and you actually know someone that intimately, that
That I should
you know,
basically get used to it, basically.
yeah, once again, but you have freedom to make those choices with your wife. Your wife might just simply walk into the bathroom while you're on the toilet
I
and start
lock
talking to
my
you,
door. I lock
and
the door.
that's a choice that you have to make with your wife. And that's the beautiful thing about those types of relationships, is that you have that choice to talk to your wife
True. Very true.
about these things, then you can make that decision together. But we're
Absolutely.
talking about children here. So I just wanted to bring my son up really quick because he had
Yeah.
something to say.
Okay.
He actually wanted to come up earlier and talk about this. Come here.
Oh yeah, please. Come on.
Come here.
I
We were
I
talking about middle school bathrooms. And so, Joshua, come over here. You're speaking to the.
Hey, Joshua.
Hi.
So you,
What?
what were you talking about middle school bathrooms? You want to be able to have girls and boys in the
No,
same middle school bathroom?
no, it just seems awkward and stupid.
So this is coming from a middle school. You're saying it's stupid, awkward, and weird. Do you have anything else you want to say about that?
It would be weird, and if girls were there, then it would just be like silent. It would be like a soundproof room.
Saying
Awkward.
it's gonna change boy and girl behavior, right?
Right.
In fact, he just said it's going to create silence in the boys' locker room because you're going to have this what they believe to be a girl in the boys' locker room, and they won't be able to talk about their boyish things.
Would that possibly make somebody not want to go to the bathroom because
Yeah.
when people hold it, that's not good too.
What does this mean for bathrooms? The bathroom contractors are going to like skyrocket now, right? I mean, what are you going to have? Are you going to have boy and girl locker rooms and then boy and girl bathrooms?
No, you can't have boy and girl locker rooms. I don't see how you're gonna do that. It's like they really want to blur those lines between the men's role and the women's role. And if you look in the Bible, and I think that's where we should all start. And I would encourage you, and you probably already do this with your son, but obviously that's where you want to start. You want to start with what the scripture says, and the scripture is very clear. There are roles for men and there are roles for women, and there is none that is greater than the other. It is a 50-50 balance between the husband and the wife, and there is no greater or. It is a team, it is a unit, it is one. And when you base everything down, every human being came from one. We are all one. It's a very spiritual feeling.
They're trying to change the nature of what men and women in family are. The change in our society is growing and growing, and it's coming from this perspective of people that want a Brave New World type world. And once again, you can Google Brave New World. They want this Brave New World / Gattaca type future that will not just blur but separate these differences of men and women. It's not possible as far as humans go. So you have to break people down first. Once you break people down, you break their behaviors, you break their attitudes, you make the next several generations gradually different than the one before them. And at some point, you will get a transformed society that believes the way you want. This is a global agenda. This is an agenda being pushed not only in California, but I guarantee you it'll be pushed in other states and in other countries where they're trying to fast track this agenda. And that's what it is, just an agenda. You have an agenda, you want to put your talking points together, you want to start passing laws, you want to start forcing people to do things, that's how you do it. You can't just do it all at one time because it's not, logistically possible. You just do it incrementally. And that's what happens. So we're in the middle of this. The Chinese say you live in interesting times, and we certainly are. You just focus on God, family, and country, and it will all come together. Okay? If you focus just on your country, then you're going to be led down a path that the country wants to take you, and you'll forget about everything else. Or if you just focus on your family, then you won't be able to focus on the country or on God. Okay? And if you focus just on God, and this is going to hit some Christians right in the very deep of their heart, if you focus just on God, just God, everything is God, everything is Jesus. Okay? Oh, Jesus. If everything is God and Jesus, then you're not gonna focus on your family. Okay?
Well,
So
yeah,
if
but
you're so focused on worshiping God, and you take your family to church every single Sunday, and that's the reason you go to church. The reason you go to church is so that people can see you with your family. You've lost sight of what Jesus was here about.
amen.
Okay? Jesus was put on this planet to show people that they need to put their priorities straight. I think a lot of Christians go to church and that's all they do. And that everything is all just church. And that's great. But let's put family and country into perspective as well. Let's put some friends in there.
Well,
Let's
sure.
get some,
But let's
you know,
but let's also understand what the church is, because we clearly read in scriptures that the church is Christ as the head of the church and the people as the body of that church. It's
right.
nothing else.
Yeah.
There is nothing else.
We got to put our lives in perspective is what we have to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.